Hey guys, welcome back to another AQ3D video. This is just a quick one covering a few small topics, first of which is the Azurecrest Lance. Now this is a GIF right here of Clarion using the Lance, and he says the healing might be too strong on the Azurecrest Lance. Now this doesn't provide too much information, however, there are no items that actually give you any form of healing, which means obviously this is another spell forge, and this lance will have a healing ability of some sort, which I think is really neat. It would be perfect for any kind of support class or a tank or something like that. So we'll see what the animations here, not the animations, but I mean, look at the heal on that. And obviously he said this is too strong, so it's going to be nerfed sufficiently, but it's nice to know that there is going to be a spell forge with this weapon. Really looking forward to actually being able to check this out in the game. Now I also want to mention something else in regards to the spell forged items. I want to show you the comparison between the Blinding Starlight of Destiny and the Apocalypse. So you've got this with the Fiendish. Now, obviously, you've got the 20% chance on hit, and then you have the 5% chance on hit. So sufficiently lower percent chance, but it does last for 10 seconds. However, I have heard that the trade-off between the two is not super great. The Blinding Starlight of Destiny is still better overall when it comes to pure DPS. However, having a thing that causes bleed is really good for single target classes like Rogue or Samurai. So that is kind of a, there's a bonus to getting that. Not to mention it looks really cool, but it's nice to see the comparison difference. So you can see that the crit, haste, and evasion and whatnot with the Fiendish, and then you have it right here. Crit is much higher, haste still being consistent, but the HP is lower, and that is the difference between the two, is the crit and the health. There's a trade-off. We also got a design note explaining the update, an upcoming update on the Fiend of Nulgath cape. Now, I did already mention in a previous video how they are going to be coming out with the crystal clear Phoenix Blade, which is something a lot of you are looking forward to. Well, for those of you who have been wanting the Fiend of Nulgath cape added to the Primal orb, listen to this. Hey guys, as you know, this week we released the Lost Armory of Nulgath, which contained a bunch of unreleased Nulgath items. Unfortunately, an item that was reserved for people who bought the Primal orb pet was one of them. I didn't know this at the time when I was gathering the items for the release, so I'd like to apologize. We're going to be adding the cape to the orb for free and releasing a special variant exclusive to the orb. So there we go. Those of us who felt ripped off, which I did, because I bought the orb, and one of the things I wanted from the orb was the cape. So I was a little bit upset when it wasn't added to the orb, but they are making amends and fixing this. I think this right here is proof they own up to their mistakes and are willing to compensate for it. This is really good to do this. If you guys could do me a huge favor, head to my YouTube channel and tap on the community tab, scroll down a little bit, and you're going to be finding the poll that I just recently posted. So far, there's been 1,300 votes. This is in regards to whether AQ3D should do weekly or twice monthly releases. It goes on to say weekly releases mostly are storyless, small content, or items you can grind for. If releases were done every 2 weeks, we could get actual story content, because it would take about that long to make story content. Please vote and share this with others. Nothing will change if we don't help it change. So there's 13% so far on weekly, and every 2 weeks has it on 66%, and then 20% says I don't play AQ3D. If you could head over to this poll and please vote. I would like to get your feedback on whether you think it should be weekly or every 2 weeks. AE is driven by weekly releases. This is what they do in all of their games, but AQ3D is vastly different than any of their other games because it's the only game not using Flash, and 3D development takes 3 to 4 times longer than Flash content. So they can't make quality content in 1 week, but in 2 weeks they can. Let's check out some of the comments and see what some of the players are saying. The very first comment with 33 ups is a solid monthly update is better than 4 rushed weekly updates. Completely agree with that. But the reason why I put it for 2 weeks instead of a month is because we have to wait a whole month. And secondly, because within 2 weeks' time, they can create story content. I'll go for the 2 weeks option just because an experiment needs to be made. How much this can make a difference in contrast to the weekly results or releases. Also, how much, if any, change in the developer course for the filler content is going to happen. Monthly would be ideal. I wouldn't mind even if they do 1 update per month. So there's another person. There's so many people saying once a month instead of twice a month. This is odd, but at least have us good story content with equipment that isn't a hassle to get through quests like Nolgath. They would benefit more of delivering more quality over quantity. Weekly or monthly, we haven't been receiving story content. What's the use of this question? So that's the point. Within a weekly update, they can't make story content. There's just no time. So that's why I'm putting this question out there. AQ3D used to do every 2 weeks and tried major content every other week with a minor content filler in between. Then they changed it to weekly, and that's where it stands today. More time in the oven may be a good revision to the older schedule, but that's just on the basis of quality has gone down with constant weekly filler. So hopefully 2 weeks for a good release may give players more appreciation for the stuff being made to churn out or something. It should be monthly. Games like Wizard 101 do quarterly. Weekly was a good gimmick for a long time, but is currently hurting the game because the sheer amount of filler they are adding, like the latest armors being a reskin, which doesn't even look good with its own, simply giving it time and to focus on main story and main mechanics should help. They're trying to get some players back with a new level cap, but they didn't even add proper ways to level up naturally without massive grinds. Like I play for like a few years, think 6 years already, but they separated from the players without 1 or 2 life events a month and no new story for a long time. And if it's a story, it's such a small part of the time, you're done after an hour most of the time. They never had big farms like Korn or Alice in Chains, because that's something that they used to do, and the latest collab was just an outfit. They might be able to do more with a straight up focus on bigger stuff. Even some filler feel like it didn't get enough time or attention, even though there aren't many big things planned in the near future. 2 weeks would work, to be honest, and I am all there for it if there's more story-based updates. I think the weekly release is a pride thing at this point. A while ago, Artix had a design post talking about many years they'd been doing weekly releases, which sounds impressive on paper, but the content has suffered so much because of it. I agree with the fact that they should do monthly updates once in a month, but make it high quality. Glad you're finally putting your foot down. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I'd rather wait longer so the devs can get creative and don't have a time pressure. Exactly. Small side story are always nice, but in my opinion, making better quality additions and fixing bugs would be better in terms of gameplay and would give players a more enjoyable game. As long as they don't slack and actually put in work and focus on making good polished updates instead of rushed bugged fillers. I wouldn't mind having to wait a month between updates. Well, actually it'd be 2 weeks between updates. This bi-weekly thing has been discussed in the past and they kind of just dismissed it as to fulfill their promise of releasing weekly content, if I recall correctly. What I would love for the game is to get meaningful content. Stuff that, no matter where you are, is good to do, worth to do, and fun to do. It's better if it's 2 weeks because devs can fix the bugs that will potentially happen when they do release the updates. I think new content monthly would be fine and an update every 2 weeks for patches and bug fixes. I think this would help the devs maintain the game and give time for better quality content. I'd much rather have monthly updates. Wow, there are so many people saying once a month instead of twice a month. Once every 2 weeks for quality content compared to once a week? Cat update? Seriously? Honestly, I'd be fine with that. Most 1 month release that was story driven. Played DC Online, and it takes them months to come out with a new DLC that can be completed in a week. I wager the team on AQ3D could pull something magical out of their anus, giving a month's time. At this point, monthly. And even then, they probably won't be able to get enough content to satisfy us. They need to expand their team or rehire. We already had a change like this during Ashfall, I think. It was so long ago. What ended up happening with the bi-monthly release started being delayed and became a monthly release. The weekly release is working fine and has been working fine to how it was back then. Twice a month or once a month would be best. That's the standard for most every game, but they need to give better quality content. Chests and some monthly events won't just cut it. They really need to step up if they push 2 weeks. They can't give the excuse of being a small indie company with a tight schedule and workflow, because they have essentially double the time to do everything they need to do. A majority of the weekly update are just yearly stuff they've been doing. So that covers some of the comments from the players. I'd like to give a big shout out to all of my YouTube members for helping to continue to support me. I really appreciate that. And to all my viewers, really appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed yet and you watch my content, please do so, because a lot of my viewers are not subscribers. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you guys in the next one.